Okay, so we started laying out the kitchen, looking at these nice 3D renderings to see what we have left to do. I think I'd like to put it's a desk. That maybe that area isn't wide enough, but I'd also like to put a nice leather top here. Nicer to draw in leather for your desk. I'm going to cut this out, and I'll show two different ways to cut the opening. I'm going to put in a window. We don't have any opening here. And if we take a look at the other side, um, it's a little bit of a goofy layout, but it's not so bad. And we need to uh, provide the actual material for the countertop, which we haven't done that yet. And we want to put a sweep around this edge. And I can see that my microwave drawer is a little bit too, well, it's not in the right location. It's not in this view yet. But anyway, okay. So look at this. Got a lot of tabs open again. I'm going to close them down. I don't need to see my renderings, but if I close that down, these other projects that are open will be a problem. Um, the other projects will stay open, but that was about to close. All right, so I closed the other two projects that were open. We're in good shape now. So I'm going to use my browser here to say, show me the sheets. I'm sorry, show me the drawings. Is this the one we want to work on? No, that has the um, floor in it. I'm going to turn the floor off here. But it's just, I might select the floor instead of what I want. So VG for visibility graphics. Just type F for floor. It'll take me to the Fs. It's in alphabetical order. The categories are in alphabetical order. I'll just uncheck that. I don't want to see the floor, but I do want to see my sections. And you can see this dashed line represents what I will be able to see. So I'm going to be working on here. If I say go to view, I can see the kitchen in the background, that countertop and the stove and everything. And I don't want to see that. Um, so what I will do is I will change my depth of field or view range so that that dashed line does not include what's in the background. So now if we go to that section, it's not showing me what's back there because I don't want to see that. It just might be in the way a little bit. So I think maybe the first thing we want to do is put that sweep around there. That was a question in class about the sweep. So the first thing we'll do is we'll actually make our sweep. We're going to say new family. And we're going to go to profiles. We're looking for profiles. Let's see where those are. Just scroll through till we find it. Profile. So we're going to use this as it's really it's our template underlay for the profile. And we'll just say, okay. And that will be the insertion point. And we're going to start drawing some lines. I think we said we wanted the profile to be 4 inches deep. So I draw it to scale. And just to be simple here, I'm going to draw a line across here, 3 inches, and then we'll go back up, and then we'll start carving this out and the shape of the profile that we actually want. So again, we're going to create a line. Let's say we want to come down an inch with bull nose, let's say something like that. And then let's say we want to do something like that. It's a little goofy, but it could be all right. And then we can draw this one here. Maybe we want it to come like that. Now, a profile has to be a closed entity. You can see that we have some conflicting. Revit's not going to know what the heck is going on? I don't need this line. I just put that in as a reference. And these two lines here need to be cleaned up. We use the fillet or trim extend, as Revit calls it. Most of us come from AutoCAD, and that would be the fillet command. All right, so it looks good to me. I'm going to save it as a family. And I'm just going to call it class profile. And we'll call it a class profile. Save it. Now, I haven't put it into my project yet. It's a separate drawing. It's a profile. I'm going to load that into my project. And it should be loaded into the project now for me to be able to select it. So architecture, we'll do the drop down at the component, model in place. We'll still put it in casework, and we'll just let it whatever default to whatever that is. So we're doing a sweep. Let's sketch the path first. And it's a rectangle, so I can click here and here. Now, I'm not going to pay attention to the, well, I was going to change the height there, but I don't see that as an option yet. Okay, so let's pick the profile. We said it was a class profile, right? Now, the profile is actually put in right here. So let's just say, okay, without paying any attention to anything else, and let's see what happened. We'll go to this section and see what we did. Well, here's the profile. It's way down here. We can see that it's backwards, so we can flip it. So let's edit that profile in place. We'll click on the profile and we see that it needs to be flipped. Profile is flipped, yes, okay. And the insertion point was the top of the object. So we need to raise it up to the countertop, which is 3 feet. That's the vertical profile. And that puts it up there. We don't have the best material yet. If we looked at it, we could see that it's not cherry. Remember, we made the island cherry. You can make it any material that you want. And we'll say, okay. And so now there's that goofy profile on the edge here. Let's look at it in 3D just to see what we have. There it is with that goofy profile. And this was sticking out. So we'll push that back in, but also it's too tall. So you see that we want to drop it down a little bit. So let's do that. We'll edit the type, and the height should not be 2'10" and a half. It should be 2'8". This is 4 inches, so let's do that and say okay. Oh, that was too much. Okay, let's fix that. Edit the type. What did I do? I put 2'4". I wanted it 2'8". That was my mistake. Revit's almost all of the errors that happen, just like flying an airplane, they're usually operator error. I wanted Revit to put the top of this cabinet where it is, but I failed to put in the right elevation. And so it did what I told it, not what I wanted it to do, which is correct. Now, here's an issue is that when I made this cabinet, I did not assign the um, microwave to be able to change its height. So I have it highlighted. I'll edit the family. There's this I made myself with my own cabinets here. Put that microwave in there. So let's go to the front view. And we have a height reference plane right here. So which is right here. So I'm going to align the top of my microwave to that reference plane and lock it so that whenever we change the height of the cabinet, it will also change the height of the microwave. But I need to load that into the project. And I have two projects open apparently. So that's this one maybe. But I want it to go, no, that's the profile. So I want it to go into that project. So it's selected and I'll say, okay, it's already there. So we're going to overwrite it and it dropped that microwave down to the right height. Now we'll go back to the first floor. Let's go through the cut this way and take a look at it. Go to view. And the slab, it really is only 2 inches thick. It probably wouldn't even be that thick. But we wouldn't make this slab 4 inches thick. It's just the nosing that would have the extra thickness to it. It'll look like it's a solid piece of cherry, but it really wouldn't be. This might not even be 2 inches. That's pretty thick for the cherry. There's no reason for it to be that thick. It could be 3/4 of an inch thick. Whatever it is, it will still look good from the top. And it'll look like it's really thick because of the nosing that we put on there. So let's save that. Always a good idea to click on that save. Never be sorry you did. Might be sorry you didn't. All right, I closed all the tabs again. Let's go back to that 3D view. There it is. I don't think it's going to render with that line there, so that's okay. Let's go back and see if it did, because we did have another profile in there before. Let's click on Sheets, and we'll go down to one of the renderings. Yeah, see it renders. We have another profile here, so it just renders it as a solid material. We don't see that line there, the two different objects. Okay, so that's good. Don't need those open anymore right now. We fixed our profile. This guy still needs to be fixed. We have our island. Oops, we don't need that profile anymore. All right, so we have, well, I don't think we need this anymore either. So I'm going to close that down, and I don't want to save it. That was this microwave. So let's go back to the first floor. We're going to look at everything again. We click that, which is going to show us our views, which is what we're interested in. Yep, okay. So this guy should go back. Let's make him flush with that line right there. Using the align tool, pushed it back. If we go down to our visual style here and we say wireframe, then we can see right through it. It makes it that we can see it's really an X-ray. We can see what's below there. So what else do we want to do here? Well, let's think. We should have another sink. We should have a vegetable sink here somewhere. Where would you want to put that? Let's put that vegetable sink right over here. So we go architecture, component. We'll see all of the components, and I'm just going to type sink and see what we have available for sinks here. Looks like we could use this one. This is pretty big, but we'll use it anyway. Yeah, that's fine. We'll put that guy. It's a smaller sink, but it's a big kitchen, so it should have a bigger sink somewhere, a secondary sink. For now, we'll do that. Now, let's cut it. We're going to do two different ways of cutting the countertops for the sink. So let's click on this countertop. I'm hovering over there. Revit thinks I want to select the sweep. I'm going to hit the tab key. And now I have selected my profile. Let's edit that in place. Click on it again, edit the extrusion, and now we have the magenta line. So this is one way to cut the hole. We want to, in reality, the hole would be smaller than the outside perimeter of the sink, but bigger than the actual sink inside. So that's approximately where the hole would be cut. And we'll say okay. And we'll say okay. And let's make it consistent colors. You can see now the there is no countertop now. If we isolate, well, the category is casework. So let's say isolate category. And you can see now the casework is the only thing that we have remaining for visibility. And you can see that that island has a hole cut in it now for the sink. And we'll say reset. Now there's another way to do that too. Let's go back and change it to hidden line because it's easier to see. So we can, this is a little more complicated, but we can do that. We're going to edit in place. We'll say create a void form, void extrusion. We'll make it a rectangle. And I'm going to put a void from here right to there. Now, what are the heights? The void will cut that object because it's the same height and thickness. But if we made that void a little bit taller and we made it a little bit shorter, it will also cut. So we'll say okay, and we'll cut it. And we'll say okay. Let's see again what happened here. Consistent colors. Now you can see that the green countertop has been cut out. Let's select isolate category. It's going to be all the casework. You can see that there is a hole cut for that sink just by modifying the profile of the extrusion. And here we actually put in a void shape to cut that out. So that was the two ways to cut for your sinks. Because we don't, if we are going to look at it in 3D now, you can see that the countertop doesn't go through the sinks, doesn't go through the sinks. So that was one thing that we wanted to do. While I'm thinking about it, let's go back to the first floor. How do we get into that kitchen? Let's put an opening there. Architecture, I think openings are in my component. So let's just type OP for opening and see. Yeah, there's where my passages are. How wide do I want it to be? Got a lot of width here. Let's pick 2'4". Okay, and now we have an opening. Let's look at that in 3D. Now we have an opening that goes through to get us into the kitchen or out of the kitchen. 2'4" is maybe not wide enough. So we look for other sizes and I don't see, let's make it 3 feet. So we're going to make a new one, edit the type, duplicate. We have to name it. We'll call it 36 inches. And then we'll change the width to 3 feet and say, okay, we don't have to hit apply. You can just say, okay. Well, let's go back and see how I got that placed there. That looks pretty good. Back to the 3D view. And you can see there's no floor in the outside of the kitchen. So that's why it looks a little goofy, but let's see what we can do here. Edit the type. What is the frame material? Let's make it cherry so that it matches the cabinets. CHERRY. We'll search the library for cherry. Interesting that it, oh, there we go. It did find it. We'll say okay. And we'll say okay. Now the frame, the casing around the archway matches the cabinetry. So if you had different material for the cabinetry, then you could change the frame to whatever you wanted it to be. Okay, so I'm looking for that green material. This looks pretty good. Yeah, that's going to be my green marble. Let's see if I can save that image. It's a JPEG. I can save it, and I'm going to just call it green marble. Okay, so now I own that image, and we can go back to Revit now, and we're going to click on the countertop, or we could do it this way. We could say manage materials. This is probably the better way to do it. We're looking for that green marble in our library, but if you don't have anything like that, you can make your own. We have the green marble here. We're going to take a look at what the appearance is. There's no image for that. So we're going to say, we're going to click on that and tell it to go look in our library where we just put that. So documents and then school. And this class, and we can see that I saw it. I can see it right there. And I don't see it there. Okay, so I went and put it back in again. So there's the material that I want it to look like and say, okay, now that's what it will look like. And I'm going to say use render appearance. So when I'm not doing a realistic view, I'm just doing consistent colors, it will still use the rendering appearance. Say, okay. And now it looks like that. If we let's save it first. And if we did, in fact, switch this to realistic, let's see how that will look now with the veining in the marble. And there it is. So when it renders, it'll look more like that. That's the nice green. Okay, so let's go back to the first floor. We still have a window to put in here. Let's do that. We should have a window in front of the sink. Architecture, window. Let's see what you got in here for windows. We got fixed. Well, we probably want it vent. Let's see. Yeah, there's a vent. And let's put it right here. It's a little too wide. We could move the cabinets or we could make the windows a little smaller. And it's also backwards. So let's get out of that and get back into hidden lines. So when we click on this, we can see that we're going to flip that. So the window is actually on the outside, which would be more likely, but it would not be out to the brick. So we're looking for an inset. Sometimes the window manufacturers put the inset here in the properties, and sometimes we have to edit it. So the inset is 4 inches. This will make sense in a second. There we go. What I'm saying is the window doesn't go out to the brick, it's framed into the wall. And we have a jam extension right here, which sits right on the rigid insulation. So the distance from the face of the brick to the rigid insulation is 4 inches. That's where our window is, but it's too wide. So let's see what we have here. We have total length is 4'3". Maybe we should make it 4 feet wide. Okay, let's see what we can do. I think this is a Pella window. How does Pella window let us fix it? Edit the type, duplicate it. We're going to call it 4 feet, vent. That means that both panels open. And then let's see, requested width. Let's see how Pella works. Now they might have defaults here. or we can just change it. So we said we want to make it 4 feet. Okay. And that should make the width of the unit 4 feet wide. Might be good, might not be. And we also didn't pay any attention to where the height was. So we'll take a look at that in 3D and just see what we've got going on. I don't like this. Oh, are we in hidden lines? It doesn't look like it cut the wall. So let's look at it in 3D and see what happened here. Yeah, it did cut the wall. Okay, there it is. Let's take a look at that. It should raise it up a little bit. So we'll go back and take a look at that view. So which way does the arrow point? It's pointing in this direction, but we want to see what's this way. So we'll flip it and we'll say go to view. And now we can see it. So it's nice that it lines up at the top, but it shouldn't be that tall. It should be up another 6 inches at least for a backsplash so that the water doesn't splash right onto the window. So we'll edit this guy again. And let's just rename it so that it's 4'6" by 3'6". 4 foot or 4 foot by 3'6" vent, and we'll get rid of the two. Revit added that until we change the name. So the height, we want it to be 3'6" instead of 4 feet. I like it to line up at the top. That's nice, but it's too tall here. So we'll just fix the window so that it's 42 inches, which is the same as 3'6". Revit converts it automatically. We'll say, okay, let's see what happens. What happened was it maintained the sill height, which meant that to satisfy the sill height, it had to drop it down from the top. Let's say we want the sill height to be at 3'6". Let's see what happens now. Yeah, see, I raised it up. So now the sill height is 3'6". That looks pretty good. We'll put a backsplash in here maybe in a little bit later, but let's save it. So the only thing left to do is to put some more cabinets underneath the island. So are we going to sit there? Yeah, we'll probably sit here. So that means that if we're looking at, we'll flip this and then we'll go look at it. And that means that this guy probably should move over 18 inches so that we have an overhang here for chairs. So we've selected the object. We'll just say move. We can click anywhere on the screen because the mouse is only used to show the direction that we want to move it. And the keyboard will tell us the distance that we want it to move. So that's better. Let's look at that in 3D. And I'm going to click on this object. When I hold the shift key down and push the mouse wheel straight down and spin it around, it's going to rotate around that object, which is what I want it to do. Otherwise, sometimes, it'll pick a point way out here. And so when you're trying to rotate, it's goofy, but we're good. We can see I like to pick an object and then let Revit rotate around that. So this is starting to look pretty good. And you can see the goofy edge that I put on there. And of course, design your own. So we have our chairs will sit here. So we can put cabinets all the way across there. Let's go back. Now, what do we have? Well, let's close everything else except for this floor plan. And then we'll go down to our sections. And in our sections, we have our stacked wall. We'll open that up. And then we'll type WT for window toggle. Zoom E or Zoom A will WT. I like the floor plan on that side, personal preference. What do we want to put? Well, I just want to put a bunch of cabinets and drawers underneath there. Create similar. We'll just put that guy now. I had to click once to activate this window, and then I can see if I spin it around, that's the back. So we'll put it over here so that I can see it in my section. See, the section is here, my cabinet is here. Now we'll go to that section. Go to view. And let's make these wider. So I select the object, go to the properties, 36 inches wide would be fine. Now the cabinet, I can change the height of this cabinet too. Edit the type. If I change it here, it will change all of these drawer cabinets, which I think is okay. So the height is, no, it's not because, so I'm going to duplicate it. And we're going to say, what do we say? 2'8" was the height of it. All right. And the height is 2'8". And if I hadn't made a duplicate of that, then all of my drawers would have then changed to the 2'8" height. So I made a second one so that only these are the 2'8" to accommodate. Copy that. From where? Right there. To where? Right there. And let's see if we put another one in, what happens. Copy that from where? Right here. To where? Oh, right there. I think that's good. Let's look at it. Oh, we don't have the 3D open anymore. Let's look at it again in 3D. And that's the value of the 3D, is that I didn't push them back far enough. So we'll go back to the first floor. And I'm going to, now we'll just do it with the wireframe. So now we can see the back. And let's say that we want the back of the cabinet to align right there. Might be wrong about that, but we'll fix it if we have to. And then we'll go back to our 3D view, and it looks good. So now we've got a recess here for chairs, lots of cabinets here. And on the other side, we'll put drawers or cabinets. We'll put these cabinets, or we could put these. Yeah, let's put those. So back to the first floor arch. Activate this, click create similar. We'll come over here. The back of the cabinet is connected to the cursor. I'm going to go, just put it right there for now. I have to move my section line because I want to see that. And I do have to flip it, right click, flip section. And now where's my depth of field? Okay, so you can see my dash line is here. This isn't going to interfere with my view. I won't see any of that. And let's make that we have to put a special cabinet in here underneath the sink too. So let's do that first before we go any farther. Drag this over. This is the special sink cabinet. Create similar. We'll put that. I'll just put it right here for now. There we go. And then how wide do I want that to be? Well, I'm going to change that sink so that it's centered on this cabinet. Using the align tool, it should snap to the midpoint of that cabinet and then align it like that. What does that also mean? I have to change my opening. So I can grab that and just pull it back to there and then grab it and I'm going to zoom in a little closer to get more accurate. There we go. And then I can take this guy and I'll say align to there. And then we'll align the back of, I don't know what this is. This might be where I want to align to. Whoops, that might be the midpoint. Let's look at it in 3D, see how it looks. Well, that's not good. Well, see how it kind of, I'm swinging it around. It's a little goofy. If I hit escape, and click on that, now when I rotate it around, it's not so goofy. But that wasn't what we wanted. So we'll go back to here. And again, it's too wide. We can fix that. But what's this? Okay, that's something totally different. We're working over here. Okay, back to the first floor. Let's go to this view. And the cabinet in the back, whatever this cabinet width is, 36 inches, it should be this cabinet width. So let's see if we have a 3-foot base cabinet. Yeah, we do. Okay, that's better. Now we can take, we'll go back to this view. Well, let's double check. Let's see what this width is. 36 inches. So we want this guy to be 36 inches. And we don't have one. Look at that. We don't have a 36. So we'll edit the type, duplicate it, and call it 36 inches. And then make the width 36 inches. And say, okay. All right. Now we can align the midpoint of that with the midpoint of that. And then we can align this and this. Okay. Let's go back to that section, which is FB, front to back. There it is. Uh-oh. These cabinets are too tall. Edit the type. And we're going to duplicate it now because it's going to be by 2 feet 8 inches. And so the height is going to be 2 feet 8. All right, what did I do wrong there? Let's edit the type and see. Height is 3'6". What did I make? 2 foot 8. Okay, well, 2 foot 8 is what the height should be. There we go. This one should be 2 foot 8 also. Now let's see if we have a 36 by 2 foot 8. Yes, we do. So we can use that one. And then I think that's the correct swing on the cabinet. So we'll just copy this guy from here to here. And then to here. No, that one's only 2 foot 2. So let's put a bank of drawers again over there. So we'll copy this from there to where? Straight across to there. But it needs to be 2 foot. Well, it should be 2 foot 3. So that would be 27 inches. And we have one. Okay, but it should be the other height. So we'll duplicate it and we're going to say by 2 foot 8 inches. Okay, the height is 2 foot 8. It's okay. And then line it up over here. That's not right. That's too wide. Let's go back and see how wide does it need to be. What's the width of? We can see below here. This guy. Oh, we definitely don't want that. Fix it. So this guy is, I don't know how wide that is. Let's see if it has a width there. 2 foot 2 is what we want this guy to be. So I don't, well, 2'3" is what we want it to be. 2'3" is 27. Okay. I just need to line it up over here. Right here, right there. All right, let's look at it in 3D. Okay, so I like it. I'm going to save it while I'm looking at it. What did we say we wanted to do? Put the sweep around there, put a sink here, put a cut for these sinks, put a window, put a door. We want to put that um, marble in there. Okay, so let's see how to do that. What would be the best way to do that? Well, let's go over here and take a look at it. I want, well, first of all, I thought that might be a little bit too narrow. Yeah, let's make this a smaller cabinet. We're going to grab this over here, flip it again, and then go to the view. So we should be able to see. No, I guess I flipped it unnecessarily. Let's see. Yeah, the arrow's pointing that way, and I want it to point this way. So flip the section. We already have it open. We'll go to that view. And let's make this a little bit less. So let's make it 24. Okay. Yeah, so that makes this opening a little bit more, a little bit wider. I don't think we need the symmetry. I'm gonna make it 12 inches, 15, and then align it here at the edge. We have a little bit wider space. The reason I wanted to get that right was because now I want to put a countertop of leather in there. So let's click on this guy. Edit in place. We're going to actually edit the extrusion. We got the magenta. We'll just draw the shape of the leather and say, okay. And say, okay, now step one, what we did here was what? We just cut a hole in there. Now I'll go back and I will architecture component model in place. We'll still call it casework. And casework 7. Okay, what's the perimeter of the extrusion? That opening that we just cut. But what's the material going to be? Leather. Let's see if we have any leather. Leather. Yep, we do. In our library, we do have leather. So we made that material leather. And then check it in 3D and look at the problem is that I didn't pay attention to the heights of that. So we'll click on it, edit the type, and we'll click on it again. We can have our heights. It should be 3 feet, and we'll make it the 2'10", just like the thickness of the countertop is. So now we have a nice little leather piece here. And let's see, last thing to do, then we'll call it a day for this one, is we're going to architecture component. We're going to look for chairs. CHAI. What kind of chairs do we have? That, let's see. That, now we want something like that, except that that's going to be too low. And this guy might be a little bit too high. But the executive chair is what we want. You want to sit at a nice, comfortable chair like that. I think that's the right orientation. Let's look at that in 3D. Yeah, it should be a little bit higher. Now, the person that made this chair, let's see if they allowed us to make it any higher. Oh, we'd have to really modify that as a family. So sometimes, or we could go look for a better chair. And then, okay, but now we have to put some chairs over here too. So I misspoke. I said we were done. architecture component. We're going to come over to here and we have some other chairs. CHAIR. This outdoor chair, this chair is going to be too high. I think it goes this way because there's not enough room for our legs there. Okay. All right. I might be wrong here, but let's just move it in here. Look at it in 3D. See, there's really not enough room for our legs. We'd have to modify. Let's see if the person who made these chairs made the height adjustable. And the answer to that is no. So that's fine for what this purpose is, but if this were a real project and you really wanted to present it to your clients properly, you would probably go to Revit City and get a better chair than what's in your library for the class. So we're going to save it. All right, let's go to another sheet. Okay, no name, no credit for my students. If they don't put their name on there, they don't receive credit. Insert, oh, no, that's not true. Insert tab, image for free. Take a look. Look at that. Got the leather top there. Sinks are cut. The countertops are cut. The rendering of the material looks good now. That's very nice. Very, very nice. So let's change this real quickly. So this is it's the wrong title block. This is what the title block is supposed to be. We come over here, we see this is the wrong title block. So let's click on this and see what it's called. It's 11 by 17 horizontal RRB. So we'll just click on that to change the title block and say 11 by 7 horizontal RRB. Changes it automatically. Save it and we'll stop this demonstration.